I am simply trying to write about Lord Gaurachandra's transcendental activities and spiritual madness, which are very wonderful and uncommon. I dare to write of them only because I have heard from the mouths of those who have personally seen the Lord's activities. So there's quite a few verses we're going to read, so I'll just read the English. All glories to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all glories to Lord Nityananda, all glories to Advaita Chandra, and all glories to all the devotees of the Lord. Absorbed in ecstasy, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu acted and talked like a madman day and night. In the company of Swarup Damodar Goswami and Ramananda Roy, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu once passed half the night talking about the pastimes of Lord Krishna. As they talked of Krishna, Swarup Damodar Goswami would sing songs exactly suitable for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's transcendental emotions. To complement the ecstasy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Ramananda Roy would quote verses from the books of Vidyapati and Chandidas, and especially from the Gita Govinda by Jayadev Goswami. At intervals, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would also recite a verse. Then, in great lamentation, he would explain it. In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu passed half the night experiencing varieties of emotions. Finally, after making the Lord lie down on his bed, Swarup Damodar and Ramananda Roy returned to their homes. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's personal servant Govinda lay down at the door of his room, and the Lord very loudly chanted the Hare Krishna Mahamantra all night. Suddenly, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard the vibration of Krishna's flute. Then, in ecstasy, he began to depart to see Lord Krishna. All three doors were fastened as usual, but Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in great ecstasy, nevertheless got out of the room and left the house. He went to a cowshed on the southern side of the Singha Dwara. There the Lord fell down unconscious among cows from the district of Talinga. Meanwhile, not hearing any sounds from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Govinda immediately sent for Swarup Damodar and opened the doors. Then Swarup Damodar Goswami lit a torch and went out with all the devotees to search for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. After searching here and there, they finally came to the cowshed near the Singha Dwara. There they saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu lying unconscious among the cows. His arms and legs had entered the trunk of his body, exactly like those of a tortoise. His mouth was foaming. There were eruptions on his body, and tears flowed from his eyes. As the Lord lay there unconscious, his body resembled a large pumpkin. Externally, he was completely inert, but within, he felt overwhelming transcendental bliss. All the cows around the Lord were sniffing his transcendental body. When the devotees tried to check them, they refused to give up their association with the transcendental body of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Very fortunate cows. The devotees tried to rouse the Lord by various means, but his consciousness did not return. Therefore they all lifted him and brought him back home. All the devotees began to chant the Hare Krishna mantra very loudly in the Lord's ears. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And after a considerable time, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu regained consciousness. When he regained consciousness, his arms and legs came out of his body, and his whole body returned to normal. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stood up and then sat down again. Looking here and there, he inquired from Swarup Damodar, "Where have you brought me?" After hearing the vibration of a flute, I went to Vrindavan, and there I saw Krishna, the son of Maharaj Nanda, was playing on his flute in the pasturing ground. he brought Srimati Radharani to a bower by signaling with his flute. Then he entered within that bower to perform pastimes with her. Bower. What's a bower? Anybody know? Arch of trees. Okay. I entered the bower just behind Krishna, my ears captivated by the sound of his ornaments. I saw Krishna and the gopis enjoying all kinds of pastimes while laughing and joking together. Hearing their vocal expressions enhanced the joy of my ears. Just then, all of you made a tumultuous sound and brought me back here by force. Because you brought me here, I could no longer hear the nectarian voices of Krishna and the gopis, nor could I hear the sound of their ornaments or the flute. In great ecstasy, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said to Swarup Damodar in a faltering voice, "My ears are dying of thirst. Please recite something to quench this thirst. Let me hear it." Understanding the ecstatic emotions of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Swarup Damodar in a sweet voice recited the following verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. The gopi said, "My dear Lord Krishna, where is that woman within the three worlds who would not be captivated by the rhythms of the sweet songs coming from your wonderful flute? Who would not fall down in the path of chastity in this way? Your beauty is the most sublime within the three worlds. Upon seeing your beauty, even cows, birds, animals, and trees in the forest are stunned in jubilation." Purport. This verse is from the Srimad Bhagavatam 10:29-40. Upon hearing this verse, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, overwhelmed with the ecstasy of the gopis, began to explain it. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "The gopis entered the arena of the rasa dance in ecstasy, but after hearing Krishna's words of negligence and detachment, they understood that he was going to renounce them. Thus they began to chastise him in anger. They said, 'Oh dear lover, please answer just one question. Who among all the youthful women within this universe is not attracted by the sound of your flute? When you play your flute, the vibration acts like a messenger in the form of a yogini, perfect in the art of chanting mantras. This messenger enchants all the women in the universe and attracts them to you. Then she increases their great anxiety and induces them to give up the regular principles of obeying superiors. Finally, she forcibly brings them to you to surrender in amorous love. The vibration of your flute, accompanied by your glance, which pierces us forcibly with the arrows of lust, induces us to ignore the regular principles of religious life. Thus we become excited by lusty desires and come to you. Giving up all shame and fear, but now you are angry with us. You are finding fault with our violating religious principles and leaving our homes and husbands. And as you instruct us about religious principles, we become helpless. We know that this is all well-planned trick. You know how to make jokes that cause the complete annihilation of women, but we can understand that your real mind, words, and behavior are different. Therefore, please give up all these clever tricks. The nectarian buttermilk of your flute's vibration, the nectar of your sweet words, and the nectarian sound of your ornaments mix together to attract our ears, mind, and lives. In this way, you are killing us." Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spoke these words in a mood of anger as he floated on waves of ecstatic love. Merged in an ocean of anxiety, he recited a verse spoken by Srimati Radharani expressing the same emotion. Then he personally explained the verse and thus tasted the sweetness of Krishna. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, "My dear friend, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, has a voice as deep as a cloud resounding in the sky. With the tinkling of his ornaments, he attracts the ears of the gopis, and with the sound of his flute, he attracts even the goddess of fortune and other beautiful women. That personality of Godhead known as Madan Mohan, whose joking words carry many indications and deep meanings, is increasing the lusty desires of my ears." Purport. This verse is found in the Govinda Lilamrita 8.5. Krishna's deep voice is more resonant than newly arrived clouds, and his sweet song defeats even the sweetest voice of the cuckoo. Indeed, his song is so sweet that even one particle of its sound can inundate the entire world. If such a particle enters one's ear, one is immediately bereft of all other types of hearing. "My dear friend, please tell me what to do. My ears have been plundered by the qualities of Krishna's sound. Now, however, I cannot hear his transcendental sound, and I am almost dead for want of it." The tinkling of Krishna's ankle bells surpasses the songs of even the swan and crane, and the sound of his bangles puts the singing of the chataka bird to shame. Having allowed these sounds to enter the ears even once, one cannot tolerate hearing anything else. Krishna's speech is far sweeter than nectar. Each of his jubilant words is full of meaning, and when his speech mixes with his smile, which is like camphor, the resonant sound and the deep meaning of Krishna's words create various transcendental mellows. One particle of that transcendental blissful nectar is the life and soul of the ear, which is like a chikora bird that lives in hope of tasting that nectar. Sometimes, by good fortune, the bird can taste it, but at other times he unfortunately cannot, and therefore almost dies of thirst. The transcendental vibration of Krishna's flute disturbs the hearts of women all over the world, even if they hear it only once. Thus, their fastened belts become loose, and these women become the unpaid maidservants of Krishna. Indeed, they run toward Krishna exactly like mad women. When she hears the vibration of Krishna's flute, even the goddess of fortune comes to him, greatly hoping for his association. But, nevertheless, she does not get it. When the waves of thirst for his association increase, she performs austerities, but still she cannot meet him. Only the most fortunate can hear these four nectarian sounds: Krishna's words, the tinkling of his ankle bells and bangles, his voice, and the vibration of his flute. If one does not hear these sounds, his ears are as useless as small conch shells with holes. Let's see how everybody's paying attention. There's four things that make one very fortunate. What are they? The ankle bells, okay? His words. His flute and? Yeah, it's interesting. It says his voice, and then it says his words. Usually that's the same thing, but that's what it says here. While Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu lamented in this way, agitation and ecstasy awoke in his mind, and he became very restless. Many transcendental ecstasies combined in him, including anxiety, lamentation, attention, eagerness, fear, determination, and remembrance. The aggregate of all these ecstasies once awoke a statement by Srimati Radharani in the mind of Bilvamangala Thakur, Lila Sukha. In the same ecstatic mood, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu now recited that verse, and on the strength of madness he described its meaning, which is unknown to people in general. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "Alas, what shall I do? To whom shall I speak? Let whatever I have done in hopes of meeting Krishna be finished now. Please say something auspicious, but do not speak about Krishna. Alas, Krishna is lying within my heart like Cupid. Therefore, how can I possibly give up talking of him? I cannot forget Krishna, whose smile is sweeter than sweetness itself, and who gives pleasure to my mind and eyes. Alas, my great thirst for Krishna is increasing moment by moment." Purport. This statement by Sri Mati Radharani is quoted from the Krishna Karnamrita, text 42. "The anxiety caused by separation from Krishna has made me impatient, and I can think of no way to meet him. O my friends, you are also deranged by lamentation. Who, therefore, will tell me how to find him? O my dear friends, how shall I find Krishna? What shall I do? Where shall I go? Where can I go to meet him? Because I cannot find Krishna, my life is leaving me." And this is the verse that we'll speak on. Suddenly, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became calm and considered his state of mind. He remembered the words of Pingala, and this aroused an ecstasy that moved him to speak. Thus he explained the meaning of the verse. Purport. Pingala was a prostitute who said, quote, "To hope against hope produces only misery. Utter hopelessness is the greatest happiness." Remembering this statement, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became ecstatic. The story of Pingala is found in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 8th chapter, verses 22 to 44, as well as in the Mahabharata, Santi Parva, chapter 174. Om Gyanatamandasya Gyananjana Salakya Chakshur Militam Dina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Mukam Kurudavachalam Pangam Langhaite Green Yat Kripa Taraham Bande Shri Gurum Dinatarunam Vanchakalpatiyubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasri Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this state of consciousness that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in and is in is Mahabhav, that is only experienced by Srimati Radharani and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is also the combined form of Srimati Radharani and Lord Krishna. So in this verse, text 49, Lord Chaitanya, it's explaining that he is in anxiety. He's lamenting. But we hear how in the spiritual world, as Vaikuntha, there's no anxiety. But here there's anxiety. The gopis are in anxiety. So this is a transcendental anxiety. Actually, it's not material. It's actually a cause of great ecstasy. This mood of separation, ripalamba. It's actually ecstasy, and it's even more intense than when one actually meets Krishna. So it's a very deep pleasure. In the next verse, actually a couple verses later, Srimati Radharani, she's trying to forget Krishna. And she's telling the other gopis, please, let's talk about something else. I don't want to talk about Krishna. Let's forget Krishna. We're struggling to remember Krishna. And here, the gopis, Srimati Radharani, the head of the gopis, she doesn't want to remember Krishna, trying to forget Krishna, because Krishna is causing so much anxiety to them. Interesting. So, of course, this is the highest level of pure love that's being experienced. And in the verse today, it's mentioned that suddenly Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became calm and considered his state of mind. He remembered the words of Pingala, and this aroused an ecstasy that moved him to speak. Then she said, to hope against hope produces only misery. Utter hopelessness is the greatest happiness. There's a verse in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu by Rupa Goswami who says similar to this verse here, Na prema shravanadi bhakti apiva yogostava vaishnavo jnana va subhakarma va kyaraho sajjatya vyastiva hinarthantika sadike tvaitatapya cheja molestati Hey gopi janavallabha vijayate ha ha marashaivamam. He says, he's praying this prayer to Krishna, I have no love for you, na prema shravanadi bhakti apiva yogostava vaishnavo, nor am I qualified to even hear and chant your glories. Na prema shravanadi bhakti apiva yogostava vaishnavo, nor do I have the good qualities of a Vaishnava, nor am I born into a high family. Basically, I have no good qualification at all. But because you give your mercy to those who are most fallen, there's great hope in my heart that I will achieve that love for you. So this is the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that he is Patita Pavana Hetu Tava Avatar, that he is the savior of the most fallen. And we see in the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that he saves some pretty fallen people that would be considered fallen within society. Like he gave his mercy to a leper. People pretty much just completely avoid lepers. They hear someone's a leper, they just keep their distance. But this one leper, Vasudev, right? Vasudev Dutt. He was a great devotee. He was such a great devotee. Lord Chaitanya, he went to one village. And this Vasudev, he heard that he was in this particular village. And when he got to this village, he heard that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had already left. And he was greatly lamenting, thinking that how unfortunate I am. The Supreme Personality of God has come, and I missed him. Like, imagine if Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu somehow went to the London temple, and we all heard about it. And we went there, and when we got there, we found out, oh, he's already left. He went to, he went to another temple. We would lament like anything. So he was lamenting like anything. But Lord Chaitanya, he's in the hearts of everyone. So he understood the deep love of Vasudev Dutt. So he went back to this village and gave his mercy to Vasudev Dutt. And he removed the leprosy from his body. But then, believe it or not, Vasudev Dutt, he lamented. He lamented because now he didn't have this leprosy. He was such an exalted devotee that he had this leprosy, and worms would be eating from his sores, and sometimes they would fall off, and he would pick it up and put it back on because he didn't want to see any living entity in distress. It was this, he was eating, for his livelihood, so he didn't want to see him in distress. Kind of inconceivable mentality, right? This is such a great Vaishnava, inconceivable Vaishnava. So he was lamenting that now my leprosy is gone. Now I'm going to become proud because I have this beautiful body. So he prayed, Lord Chaitanya, what am I going to do? I'm going to become proud because I have this beautiful body. Before I had leprosy and I was humble. Now I'm going to become proud. So Lord Chaitanya said, no, you just chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And you won't become proud. You'll remain humble. So this Vasudev Dutt, such a special devotee, he prayed to Lord Chaitanya to have all the sinful desires, sinful reactions of everyone in the universe come upon him, so they can become free of all their sinful desires and be qualified to go back to the spiritual world. When Lord Chaitanya heard this, tears came to his eyes. He was in complete ecstasy, just seeing the sincerity, seeing the devotion of Vasudev Dutt. So this is the heart of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, preaching the message of Krishna. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was a Sankirtan devotee. He went all over India chanting the holy name for the benefit of the conditioned souls. And when he went to one village, there was one devotee. He was the Korma Brahmana, who wanted to leave Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu because he was so inspired by the Lord. But he told him no. He said, Yare deka tare kaha Krishna upadesh amara agyaya guru hanatare desh, that you stay here. You instruct everyone of the teachings of Krishna as they are given in the Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. In this way, you become a spiritual master and liberate everyone in the land. So this is the mood of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He wants everyone to hear about Krishna. And therefore Srila Prabhupada, he stressed so much this book distribution. Because this is how people can hear about Krishna. And he called it, actually, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he called this the Brihat Mridanga. Because we can go on Harinam, and you could hear the Harinam from maybe a couple blocks away. But when you give them a book, they walk away with the Harinam. They walk away with the holy name. You give them a book, they go home, they read it, and they're hearing Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Because in so many places in Prabhupada's books, Prabhupada puts the holy name. So many places. Krishna's name is there so much. Actually, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, whenever someone would submit an article to him, he would just read how many times the name of Krishna is in the article. And that was that was the statement about whether it was a good article or not. He just wanted to see how many times the name of Krishna was there. And sometimes there would be some bad news, apparent bad news about our society. And devotees would bring the article to Prabhupada. Oh, Prabhupada, these people are criticizing us. And Prabhupada would say, how many times is the name Krishna there? And they would read it, about 40 times, Prabhupada. And Prabhupada would ask, how many people read this newspaper? About 2 million, Prabhupada. Well, that's a lot of chanting, so it was good. So, Prabhupada wanted the name of Krishna to be a household word. Wanted everybody to hear about Krishna. And there's one instance where this became confirmed. There was one devotee in his home with his family, and his little girl ran up to him. He was at his table in the dining room, and he said, Pita, Pita, Bugs Bunny is chanting Hare Krishna. I said, what? So he went into his room. And sure enough, Bugs Bunny is there rowing a boat saying, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. So you can't get more household than that. You know, Bugs Bunny is pretty popular. I guess the person that wrote that script was very favorable to Krishna consciousness. So, yeah, this is... Prabhupada wanted everybody to hear about Krishna, everybody to get a book. And sometimes when we're distributing books, people, they take a book. They steal a book sometimes. Yeah? One devotee said, lucky thief. Yeah? And actually there was one time where a devotee was distributing books in the airport, and someone came through and stole a book. This person later became a devotee and a GBC member. Balavanta Prabhu. Balavanta became a devotee after stealing a book. Yeah. So, don't lament. Someone steals a book, he may become a devotee. No problem. Just when he walks away, just please read it. Make sure you read it, okay? No problem. That you took it is okay, but read it, please. Because they can benefit so much. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there's a statement, Tavakatamrutam Takta Jivanam Shravana Mangalam Srimanatam Kavibha Iditam Kamasapam Bhuvina Garantine Bhovi Dajana. Persons who are suffering the pangs of material existence relish the message of Krishna given in the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam. Indeed, it's stated that people who hear this message, they become free of the effects of Kali Yuga. It's so powerful to hear. And great poets, they say that simply by hearing Kavibha Iditam Kama Sapaham, they become completely purified. And those persons who are distributing this knowledge of Krishna, they are the most munificent in all the universe. This is a verse spoken by the gopis. So now we're having this Srila Prabhupada book distribution marathon. So it's very auspicious, because for millions of lifetimes people have not heard about Krishna, but now they're getting an opportunity to hear about Krishna. This is the kindness of Srila Prabhupada. One time there was a Sankirtan devotee who was in charge of the BBT at the time in Los Angeles. So he wrote in the book distribution newsletter that the book distributors, by going out and giving people Krishna, they're in the mood of the gopis. So some of the other devotees thought, oh, look at this, the book distributors, they're becoming sahajiyas. They're thinking they're gopis now. So it became a controversial thing in Los Angeles. Is this a correct statement or incorrect? So one advantage of having Srila Prabhupada on the planet is that whenever there is some controversy, they just write Srila Prabhupada. And he clears it right up. So they wrote Prabhupada. Prabhupada replied, yes, this is correct. That by going out and giving literature about Krishna to the conditioned souls, the book distributors are in the mood of the gopis. Because what is the mood of the gopis? The mood of the gopis is that they want to bring other gopis to Krishna. They experience more pleasure by bringing other gopis to Krishna than themselves going to Krishna. And this book distribution, it is that higher taste, actually. One derives great pleasure from giving Krishna to others. But one has to focus on it. Just like in any service that we do. like we chant our japa, it has to be focused. We have to really focus on the holy name. Whatever service we're doing, deity worship, or whatever, we have to focus. So if we're on book distribution and we're focused on this activity of giving Krishna out to others, then it's so ecstatic. And what does that mean, to focus? That means we have to pray to Krishna, like anything. Book distribution means it's a constant prayer, always praying to Krishna. Please, Krishna, help me to be an instrument in your hands. Just like Krishna, he told Arjun, you see the child is crying to distribute books, please. The father's a book distributor, so the child also. Nimatmatram bhavasavyasachin, please help me, Krishna, to be an instrument in your hands. Actually, we can't distribute books, because nothing moves without the sanction of Krishna. All we can be is an instrument in the hands of Krishna. We can also pray, Krishna, please don't let me be an obstacle to your mercy being distributed. Please give me proper consciousness. The nature of the conditioned soul is that we want to enjoy the fruits of our activities. Srila Prabhupada said there's two things that go very deep in the heart, and that is the desire to enjoy the fruits of our activities and sex desire. So one may also try to get the fruits. What are the fruits of book distribution? You don't get to keep the results. So the fruit is you get some name, you get some fame, you get some recognition. But there's one of the acharyas says that this pratishta, this fame, it's like hog stool. Horrible. So whenever this desire for name or fame comes, you should just pray to Krishna. Krishna, please remove this pollution from my consciousness. Lord Chaitanya said, Tanadapi sunichena tororapi sahistana amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. One should think oneself lower than the straw in the street, more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and ready to offer all respects to others without desiring respect for oneself. And Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he says, this verse should be worn around one's neck, strung by the holy name, never to be forgotten. Very important. If we're humble, then we can preach. Srila Prabhupada, he wrote a letter to two sannyasis who were preaching around America, to colleges. He wrote them and said that if you're not humble, if you're not tolerant, you will not be able to preach Krishna consciousness. So we have to be tolerant. And what do we tolerate mostly on book distribution? We have to tolerate no's. Many no's. The false ego doesn't like it. But the real ego likes it. Because we're getting purified by getting rejection. Just like I don't know how it happened, but now within the ISKCON society, they asked me to be the minister of book distribution. So wherever I go, I get a lot of respect. But I go out on book distribution, and they're like, "Hey, get out of my way, buddy! Don't waste my time." So it's good, and it straightens me out. The bubble might get a little big. You go out on Sankirtan, Krishna pops the bubble. So that's good. There's many types of bubbles. So Krishna pops them. You go out on Sankirtan. We think we're this, we think they're that. But you go out on Sankirtan, you're just a humble servant. So it's very good, very auspicious. It's very beneficial for us. We get purified by it. It's very beneficial for those whom we approach. Prabhupada said even if they see a Sankirtan devotee, they benefit. If they touch a book, if they read one line, they benefit. So auspicious. Your spiritual master is pleased by it. Krishna is pleased. Lord Chaitanya is pleased. It's a win-win situation. You cannot lose by distributing books. So auspicious. Srila Prabhupada, he once said, if you want to please me, then distribute books. And he said that if you cannot repay me for what I've given you, because I've given you Krishna. But if you want to try to repay me, then distribute books. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he said that if you have life, then you'll preach. And this book distribution actually brings one alive. It really brings the teachings alive. You have to live the teachings. Of course, we're getting the book knowledge by reading, but when you go out on Sankirtan, you have to live it. You have to be tolerant. You have to be humble. You have to think of Krishna. You have to pray to Krishna constantly. So the teachings actually come alive. And there's so many amazing things that happen on book distribution. Wonderful. It's an adventure. You never know what's going to happen. Like there was one devotee, he was on book distribution, and he approached one couple, and they said, "Oh, no, we're atheists." So the devotee said, "Oh, thank God, I thought you were Christians." And they started telling, "Oh, this is on yoga, meditation," and they became very favorable and took a book. So there's sometimes when they say I'm a Christian, I tell them, we're not trying to change your belief, but there's always more to learn, right? Yeah. And they say, well, yeah, sure. And many times they take books on this. One time I was going door to door in Australia, and I knocked on the door. Man said, no, I worship Satan. I'm not interested in your books. I said, well, you should learn about the enemy, right? Yeah. Get some information about the energy. This is all about the enemy. You have to know your position, Yeah, good point. He bought a book. Yeah. So you have to come up with amazing things to say to people, when you have to refute their arguments. Yeah. So such a nice activity. So there's a few minutes left. Maybe yes.